my friend, I want to ask you, have you been listening to some of my podcasts for a while and identified for yourself all the areas that you feel your business could be better in? Maybe you just are so busy you haven't yet mastered the working as much as you like bit. Or maybe you're just not bringing in the money, like you're struggling with the income, or it's just not enough. Well, it's time for us to have a conversation. In the show notes, there is a link to my Evolution call. If you're a dance boss and you are ready to take action, let's have a chat and let's see where I can take you. Hello and welcome, lovelies, to the Ultimate Dance Business Podcast. My name is Deborah Laws, the dance business expert. My passion is to help you turn your passion into profit while guiding you to work less and earn more. I'm super excited to share interviews with you that I know will inspire and motivate you in your schools, as well as my solo shows where I shall be sharing some great tips and strategies. So if you love the show, please do remember to review, subscribe, and share it with your fellow dance boss friends. So let's get stuck into the business of dance. So everybody, today I have got the wonderful Hannah Walker that has joined us, who is going to hopefully tell us all about herself in just a couple of seconds. But I think you're going to really enjoy this episode. We're diving into marketing, sales, and ways in which Hannah can add some value for us today with regards to growing our business. Hannah, welcome to the Ultimate Dance Business Podcast.
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, well, we're thrilled to find out, first of all, a little bit more about you and what it is that you do in your business.
Yeah, so I'm Hannah Walker, as you said. I'm based in I would say sunny, but it is currently very grey and quite disgusting outside, northeast of England. Not that you can tell from the accent. We'll call that a boarding school accent, so it's very, very British. And I am a sales coach. So I help, like, my biggest mission in life is to help people to fall in love with selling and make a lot of money, basically. Nice and simple. I work with pretty much any type of business, depending on their size, what sort of support they need. And I've had this business for just over 4 years now, working predominantly online, but also kind of in person. I love doing in-person stuff. My inner people person comes out, and I'm like, I get to be around three-dimensional human beings.
Oh, I understand how that feels, 100%. And, you talked about you predominantly help people to scale and grow their businesses through sales. And that's an interesting one for all of my listeners, because I hate to say it, but it's probably the bit that they like the least.
Yeah.
But the thing that they need the most. So, they're very keen. They're very keen to listen and learn from you, but just the mere word sales probably makes some of them kind of get a little bit twitchy. So it's going to be really interesting to see today how I'm sure you will, make it all sound a bit more sexy and a bit more interesting. So Hannah, how do you describe to people, what is the difference between marketing and sales?
So this is a really interesting one, and it's actually one of my favorite things, because a lot of people come to me and they actually need marketing help. They don't need sales help at that point. And the easiest way of thinking about it is marketing is all about attracting people to you, and sales is then turning them into a paying customer within your business. So marketing is all about people seeing you, knowing who you are, what it is that you offer. And the sales side is the conversation or whatever needs to then happen when they come to you to then turn them into a client, or in your case, obviously parents, or prospective from a prospective parent into a actual parent
Yes.
that you're teaching.
Yes. And so in terms of those two things, I think particularly for my listeners, the sales part that you just explained, where for many of us running a business, for you and me and for many other businesses, there's quite a lot of process that goes into the actually then getting them to buy something. Whereas for my listeners, it's a little bit easier. I mean, this is nice news for them because actually, if they've heard about your dance classes through word of mouth, or they've seen your kids perform somewhere, or they've found your website and they like what they see because that's what they've been looking for. It's literally like how do I sign up? So that part of the process for a lot of businesses, I think they'd be like, wow, I wish that was like that for me.
That's the dream. That is the dream. Most people, and you're totally right. And that's why when you said, majority of your listeners really like they don't like sales and stuff, and I'm sitting here thinking, well, that's fine, because actually you don't really need to do much. Like it's not about that. It's you're not sitting in front of a parent doing the hard sell and being like,
by double glazing.
It's exactly, we're not trying to buy a used car here. It's much more about cultivating a reputation with like through the marketing, and maybe less about sales in terms of new parents, but actually just focusing on retention and like how like the customer service element of sales, and the version of you that is both in the studio but also out and about, and how making sure that there's no disconnect and that sort of thing. So for your listeners, big tick in the box of don't panic, because most of those things that you've seen that have made you go, oh my God, I hate sales, I don't want to do sales, you don't actually have to do. Like, you're kind of okay. I mean, you might. I'm going to say that they're never going to have a conversation with a parent, and there's never going to be any like physical selling. But it's a lot smaller percentage than it would be for the majority of businesses. Because like you say, I mean, most of my clients, me included, it would be a dream if everyone was just coming in and being like, so how do I give you money? I'd be like, oh, this is great. Like, yeah, okay.
I mean, at the most, we probably email backwards and forwards 2 or 3 times to make sure that the day and time is fine. But there's not really a selling process as such. And I think actually moving forwards a bit, there is a selling process, and that's the bit that doesn't happen. And that's where we're marketing internally to our already converted parents and students. And this is a huge strategy that I teach a lot on, and I'm really homing in on with my members, because they work really damn hard to get people into their dance schools. And it's hard work, and it's not easy. And sometimes it costs money, or if not money, a lot of time and effort. We get them into the studio, they sign up for a class, and then that's it. We just leave them in that class until they may or may not come along and go, do you do anything else? Like, are there any other classes that Emily can come to? We sit back and wait for that to happen. And that is really, I think, I'm guessing you'll probably agree, where the sales bit should be happening in our business. But
completely agree.
That's kind of maybe a topic for another podcast for another day, because I think the piece I'd love to dive into with you today is that initial awareness attraction piece. So let's put aside we've got all these lovely people in our school and they love us and we should be trying to get them to spend more money. We'll put that to one side and we'll go to the front end of the funnel. Let's kind of look at that. I've done a lot of learning in this area. But I'd love to know your ideas and maybe even some kind of top tips in terms of, we've got a lovely dance school owner. She's got a beautiful school, very passionate, puts her heart and soul into this, but she just needs more students and really struggles to get them to inquire and come in for a trial, because that's basically the process. They make an inquiry, they book a trial, and most of the time they then sign up. But how do we get them to make an inquiry and book a trial, Hannah?
So the scary answer is unfortunately the answer, and it's you. And it's very much about showing up as that version of you, as the headline act, you know, the reason that people are going to come. Because I mean this with love, but unless you are in a remote area and you are the only school that they can ever come to, and none of the parents drive and they're not willing to drive or to go anywhere else, there's probably going to be other schools around that, as much as we don't like to admit it, are competition. Okay, there is an element of competition when, you know, there is a decision. It doesn't mean we have to be aggressive. We don't have to be horrible in the way that we market things, but it is a natural part of life. And the easiest way of encouraging more people into your school and more parents to inquire is to actually showcase who you are as a dance school owner and as a studio owner. And what do you bring to the table? You know, what are your values? How do you teach? What is your background? What have you done? Because I think of schools that I know through like my other business and stuff, is that, for instance, there will be some whose background was maybe more musical theatre, was more stage and, you know, the West End, etc. So they're going to attract parents and children where that is more the type of thing that they're going to want. So they're going to be attracted more to, you know, jazz and lyrical and more kind of like maybe singing lessons and the additional services that kind of go with it. Whereas a lot of the schools and dance teachers that I know were more like freestyle. So you're not going to attract people who want their child to go and do ballet, for instance, because freestyle dance and ballet, very different worlds, very different atmospheres. So showcasing who you are and what you do, and albeit the scary thing for most people, selling yourself as opposed to the services that you offer, is actually the biggest way you are going to attract clients and you're going to attract more parents to you. But the best thing about that is, because they're coming to you because of you, they're more likely to stay and they're more likely to continue and to grow and to do other things, as opposed to, oh, well, you were just the first school that was on the list. So that sounds great.
So I'm enjoying this. It's fun because I know what's going on the other end of this with the people that are listening to this right now. They're going, oh, ooh, you've just said I need to sell myself. Like, that's why I have a logo. So I can hide behind my logo.
Yeah.
I sell my school. Like, it's the school, the name of the school, the reputation of school, the kids, the photos of them that I put out there. Like, a lot of the people listening are, I think, a little bit uncomfortable right now at the fact that you want them to talk about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I have an amazing lady that I work with. She comes from the most phenomenal background in the industry. I mean, I'm talking like crazy what she's done, like big names. She's the biggest names in the industry that you can think of that she's worked with. Some of the things she's done would make your jaw drop on the floor. She's never told a soul in her dance school that this is pretty much what she does. She came down and had some time with me, a VIP day, just a week or so ago. And I was like, in the next 24 hours, I want a blog, a post, and I want you to go out there and tell everyone. And she's just literally like hiding behind the cushion. And if she's listening, she probably knows exactly that I'm talking about.
She started listening, going, okay, I'm doing it.
This is me. And she did. I have to say, it did go out there, and I was very proud of her. But she was just a great example, you know, of it's quite bizarre because, you know, dance school owners, and let's face it, all dance school owners are, well, 99.9% of them are dance teachers at heart too. Yeah. We're supposed to be flamboyant, extrovert, creative, confident people. And yet the biggest thing we find difficult to do is to talk about ourselves and put ourselves out there. So you have just hit a little bit of a nerve, I think. But you are the expert. So I hope everyone's listening. Guys, this lady does know what she's talking about. So, okay, so what does that look like specifically? What should they be doing to tell the world about themselves and not just their school and their brand?
Totally. And do you know what? I get it. I totally get it. Okay. And as someone who's, been in the industry and kind of understands what it's like, I've got friends who are dance school owners who are terrified of telling anybody that that's what they do, because they don't want everyone to think that they're Abby Lee Miller, or that they're going to, that their entire school is that they scream at children and put pyramids on walls and all these things. Because exactly the same, they don't want it to be about them. They're like, I did my thing, it's now about the kids. They're the ones that, you come and see a show, it's not about me, it's about the children. You can see them kind of like being given a bouquet at the end of the show, and they're kind of like, no, turn the lights off, like, don't look at me, I don't want to be part of this. But you are the person that those children connect with the most. I have witnessed some of the most stunning displays of relationship between dancer and dance teacher and dancer and dance school owner, who maybe they don't even get taught by this person, but they're so connected to them because they're so grateful for the experience that person's giving them. And that's you. That isn't a logo. That isn't a building. It's not a class timetable. It's the relationship that you foster within that school and within that environment. And that's what's going to attract other people. Now, I can guarantee there will be lots of people listening that will, if I say to you, okay, so referrals, for instance. So do you get a lot of parents recommending your school to other parents? And they'll go, yeah. And I'm like, so why do we think that is? Do we think it's because it just happens that little Susie's class needs to be at the same time as, Megan's mum needs a dance? No, it's because Susie has raved to Megan about how amazing her dance teacher is, how incredible the school is, how close the relationships are, how safe they feel in that environment. And the mum's had the conversation with the other mum and been like, oh yeah, I never even think, like, I don't have to worry. I just drop them off at the door and I go back in 2 hours, and she's had the whale of a time. Like, she's buzzing. She's asking me when the next show is and all the other things that she wants to do and all this stuff. That's what captivates people. That's what people want to see. And that fundamentally comes down to things like your experiences, relationships that you had in the industry, your journey as a studio owner. Why is that your connection to it? What is the thing that makes you the person that I should leave my children with for hours, and for them to, be filled up creatively and to be able to express themselves? What stories do you have? I don't mean put on a tabard and go and stand in the local square and, scream from the top of your lungs and be like, hi, my name's Hannah and I'm a dance school owner. I mean, allow yourself to showcase that stunning personality that people fall in love with once they come through the front door, because that's what's going to attract more people to you. And that is the version of you that sells completely effortlessly, because it's you. You don't have to pretend to be, like, spoiler alert, you don't have to pretend to be anything. You might have to just exaggerate things until it becomes the norm and make it like a caricature version of you to start with until it becomes more natural. But in reality, it's just telling more people about what it's like to be that close and why you're the person that is going to make that kid feel incredible.
I just think this is so powerful. And I think we're kind of harnessing the passion this principle has. And then this is what I'm hearing. And then sharing with the world how your child can also develop and have this passion if they come and experience what you offer. And that's difficult to do when you're just saying, we have this class that has these benefits on these days, and this is what your child's going to love. Like, I'm really hearing what you're putting down here, Hannah, because it's not about even, I'm always telling people, you've got to share the benefits. What's in it for them? What's in it for them? Whiff them, whiff them, whiff them. I'm always telling people that they have to share that. But I think maybe I've been missing a little piece of this puzzle, which is actually quite a big piece of the puzzle, which is it goes back one step further to what their child is going to experience and what the benefits are. And it goes back to, actually, do you want some of the happiness that I experienced growing up with dance in my life? Because that's what I'm here to offer you. And it kind of comes down to that, doesn't it?
Look, it's that I know, like I have friends whose children are dancers, and obviously doing the photography, like I've connected with so many dance parents, and I've seen kids be at competitions and something goes wrong. Okay. And I can see their parent is just like, oh my God, the world, like you want to be able to run on that stage and be able to hold on to your child and be like, everything's fine. And I have watched kids run straight past their parent to their teacher. Like literally no part of them thought, I'm going to go and be consoled by by my parent right now. I need my teacher. Like she's the person, or they're the person that I need to be held and I need to be looked at. And I've seen like teachers be really firm with young kids, and the look of utter adoration in their eyes of just like, I would walk through fire for you in that moment. Like that child is like, and all of those things, like not only is that kid happy, like, because let's face it, there's a difference between, oh, I'm tired and I don't want to go to dance class tonight, or a parent looking their kid in the eye and going, no, you definitely are never going back to that place because it's making you unhappy. Okay. It's not just that level of happiness. It's in your dance school, they are learning what it is like to be loved. They are learning what it is like to be pushed, to be challenged, to be accepted for all of their quirks and all of their like individualities and all of those things. They're given a space where all of that is actively encouraged. Being challenged in a really healthy way is such an incredible skill for children to learn at a very young age, because let's face it, the world is going to challenge you when you become an adult. And if you've never been challenged as a kid, God help you. Like, God help you, because and all of those things, like I'm a huge believer in things like competition, healthy competition, and learning that and being able to be held at the highest, but also at your lowest. To be a dance teacher and to be a dance school owner and be able to provide children with that, as a future parent, that is the type of thing where like, I want to know you. I want to know that
who's going to be doing that for my child?
Who's going to do that? Like, who's going to be the person that's going to lead my child through some of the most challenging moments in their life? Because let's face it, every kid wants to come first, but isn't always going to come first. Okay. And how do they hold themselves in that moment? How do they stand there? Do they go and congratulate that other person, or do they act like a brat? Like, what do they do? That's learned in their classes. That's learned in the school. That's not, it's all of that comes from those parents. And your experiences, like you telling me that you've been through that and that you know what it's like, or that you've been the lead and then it was taken away from you, or something happened, or, God forbid you had injury and you had to deal with that setback and all of those things. Those are the stories. Those are the things that as a parent, someone's going to connect with, because underneath all of that, they understand that's the potential person that's going to lead my child through those things. Because I've had very, very good friends whose child has got quite old or like older, been planning to go to, musical theatre, university, college, etc., and then has suffered a very serious injury, and overnight everything changes. And it's not the parent that's there, it's the dance school owner. They go to the school. Like, I remember Holly spent her entire time in the school. Like, she was like, even though she couldn't dance, even though she couldn't do anything, because that was her safe space. That was where she needed to be in that moment. And that's what you're selling. So yes, I'm telling you to go and tell everybody about yourself. But the point of that is that you are the reason that those kids feel that safe. You are the reason that those kids are happy, that they're a bit mardy sometimes, that they're a little bit like, you don't want to do this today. Like, all of those emotions, like, you're responsible for that. So go and showcase yourself to people, because that's what people are going to connect with, not, oh, which class am I going to pick? Because if you, like, the brutal truth of it is, if you are marketing based purely on features, you will be judged based purely on price. So if somebody turns up and they open a dance school and they don't have the overheads that you have, they don't have, they want to get a foot in the door, and they come in with ridiculously low prices that you couldn't even vaguely entertain. If you're competing based purely on, I have a hip hop class at 4 p.m. and they have a hip hop class at 4 p.m., the cheaper class will win every single time. So adding your personality means that the price never becomes a factor, because they instantly are just like, who cares? You're the person that I want my child to be around. You're the influence. You're the energy. You're the leader.
So I thought I would just share with you guys today the planners that I have produced for dance school owners, because these are flying out of Amazon like hotcakes. And if you don't have yours yet, then all you have to do is pop to Amazon and type into the search Deborah Laws, and all 3 books will come up. So the Ultimate Dance Business Planner I designed for you so that you had a little bit of a Deborah on your desktop. The planners are full of business training, tips, motivational quotes, things to do at the start of the month, things to do at the end of the month, ways in which you can plan out your marketing and your retention, and they are selling all over the world. So go to Amazon, grab your #1 best-selling Ultimate Dance Business Planner, and enjoy mapping out the growth for your studio. This makes so much sense. I really hope everyone's taking all this on board and hearing the reason why this is making so much sense. And I think that so much of the time when we're doing our marketing, we're not in it. And I think you mentioned something that I think is a good way of putting yourself into your marketing, which is the story element. Like, actually being able to explain, what your background is, but not necessarily in terms of, what your CV looks like, but in terms of, where you started. Were you a terribly unconfident child? And through dance, it's made you the confident leader that you are today. Like, what's the story of how you got to where you are? What's the story of how you turned dance from a once a week hobby into a business and a passion and a purpose? And storytelling is a type of marketing, isn't it, Hannah? And that's something that you obviously feel we should be doing a lot more of.
Yeah. And I think it's people connect with stories. We all connect. It doesn't matter whether or not we've been through the same thing verbatim. You will find parts of yourself within people's stories. You will see things, and you will empathize. You will like go on that journey with them. And this is the thing. It's where it's like, because there's the other side of it, of like, if you've got somebody who's just sat there going, yeah, but what's the difference between a dance class or going rock climbing, for instance? I'm just going to pick random things. But it's the stories of how that specific thing helps you become the person that you are, or got over something that you're going through. How, a lot of dancers that I know went into dance because it was a way of expressing themselves. And maybe if they were being bullied at school, or they were the outcast, they weren't they didn't really fit in, it was a space in which they could stand out for the right reasons and be able, because being different is celebrated in that environment, having unique quirks and things. Yes, obviously we have troupe dancers and we have big stages and we want to blend, but the majority of the time a dancer is there because you want to showcase your passion and you want to stand out. And showcasing those stories, those emotions, and those much deeper things add that depth to what people are buying, what they're buying into. That means that when it's 5 a.m. on a Sunday morning and they've got to get up and that parent has got to drive for 2.5 hours to get to the competition, to get the child ready with the tutu that has cost more than their car's last service, and the latest pair of shoes, because they definitely need at least 3 pairs of point shoes, one that are seriously broken in, one that are kind of competition, and the new pair that they'll probably wear for a grand total of about 5 minutes, just purely to say that they've put them on and started to wear them in. They spent the night beforehand, they didn't go to bed until 1 a.m. because they were sewing ribbons into the point shoes that they completely forgot about, and they've been sat in the bottom of the handbag for the last 2 weeks. And it was only that night, just as they were getting tucked into bed, that they remembered that those ribbons need putting back on. All of those things, like, it's a journey. Like, let's be honest, dance parents, it's especially when you get to the older levels and they're really competing and they're doing these things, it's not just a hobby, it's a lifestyle. Like, it's a huge part of those children's identity and what they're doing. If it's just a case of, oh yeah, well, it's dance, and they go to a competition and they do these things, it's very easy for that parent to just go, do you know what? No, I can't be bothered. We're not going to go and do that competition this weekend. And they'll justify it and they'll say to the kid, no, we don't need to go. You don't need to go. It's fine. It's a long way. It's a lot of money. No, you can't have this. We're not going to do this. We're not going to do that. But those emotions and those connections that you make from the very first moment that somebody sees about your school are setting the foundations and sowing the seeds for the thing that is going to get that parent out of bed after 3 hours of sleep, waking up with the ribbon stuck to their face, like they're thinking, oh, fine, come on, let's go. Like, putting the double espresso in the cup and driving down the M1 to get to where they need to go, to sit in the front row and to well up when their child comes second or comes first or just has an absolute routine from God, and it doesn't matter where she places, no one cares, she's just had a fantastic day. Like, this is what you have to remember, is that those first interactions, those first conversations, those first pieces of marketing, which in this instance is sales, spoiler alert, that is setting the foundation for absolutely everything that's to come, so that that moment when that child is graduating and they're leaving and they're going off to make their West End debut, or they're going to, they're joining Royal Ballet Company of their dreams, or, whatever, that ending is built at the beginning. The same as dance, you've got to learn the foundations, you've got to learn the first steps before you can do the Swan Lake routine, for instance. Like,
wow. I mean, I think we might potentially need to explain to the people listening why you have such an understanding.
I'm quite passionate about this.
Like, because obviously we introduced you as a sales and marketing and business coach, but there was a little piece of the puzzle that we haven't yet talked about in terms of how you have this awareness.
You're like, so how does this woman, like, is she just really researched? I was like, well, I'd love to say it was that.
So you do have a bit of a connection with the dance industry, don't you, Hannah?
I do, yes. I also run a dance photography business. So I've had my dance photography business for, gosh, how long? About a decade. it was something that when my grandmother passed away, she left me some money and I bought a camera. And I've never danced. My mother has a photo of me in a tutu, aged about 5. After, according to my father, about 4 weeks of lessons. Apparently, I managed about 4 weeks of like basic ballet when I was like really young. And then my dad apparently picked me up one day after I'd spent the entire class sitting in the corner screaming my head off because I refused to dance. And he took me to judo. So that tells you everything you need to know about my dance ability. But my grandma and I used to have a tradition that every time I went and stayed with her, we would curl up in bed with a big thing of popcorn and we would watch a VHS of Cats, the musical. And I became obsessed with dance and watching ballet and dance and all these things. And when I got my camera, one of my friends was point trained. And that just kind of started this slight obsession with photographing dancers. So yes, in that business, my ideal client is your ideal client. It's also dance parents. So
yeah, that's amazing. And that's why I knew this was going to be a great podcast. Because, we're actually kind of bringing in your awareness of dance and working with dancers and parents and studio owners and dance teachers, and then linking that up to your sales and marketing background. I thought, this is a lady that I need to have a conversation with. My client's going to love this. And in fact, bit of a spoiler alert, I'm really thrilled that Hannah has actually agreed to come and be one of our speakers at the Dance Business Conference 2025. So she's going to come and hang out with us in person and give us an amazing session, which we've already talked about, which I'm very excited about, because we are going to be looking at marketing with just a slightly different, coming at it from a slightly different direction, which we won't spoil. We won't tell everyone what that's going to be. But of course, if they want to come and meet you in person and learn more, then they need to come to conference, and along with the other wonderful people that are going to be there teaching and speaking. So that's something I'm very much looking forward to. And, in particular, I think, getting to know you a bit more through even just listening to you speak, on this podcast today, I think there's definitely a deeper level, or so I should say a deeper layer that I'm understanding, that I'm picking up from you, that is massively important and is going to be impactful for everybody that hears you and learns from you. But I think also that just actually probably feels a bit more intuitive for my audience. It's one thing me teaching them, how they should lay out their graphic for social media, but actually, if we can't put into that what you're teaching us today, then it is just a pretty picture of a dancer. So really loved what you've been, the approach that you've been, coming at it with today. Hannah, do you have any top tips that you love to share? They don't necessarily even need to be for my audience, but that you love to share when you're talking about marketing? Like, I will have to admit, I did do a little bit of sort of scrolling and checked some of your social media, and I saw on your website, I was reading some of your testimonials before we came on, so I was having a little look, and there were a few people that said like something about, I'm really intrigued, I'm going to get this wrong now, the bowling, like was it pocketing a billiard ball? I don't know. I was like,
ball analogy.
What is it? Like, I'm interested. And you're laughing at me now because clearly I brought something up that I don't know. Is it suitable for?
I'm laughing because it became this nickname, and for ages, all of my clients were like, "Oh, it's Hannah's balls. It's all about Hannah's balls," and I was like, "Oh my god, this is ridiculous! Like, it's so funny." So basically, this
followed you around onto this.
It's really and I'm fine with it. It's I started it. I might have encouraged it. I kind of get it. It's fine. And if it helps people remember, then great. basically, this ball analogy is all about different levels of offers that you have within your business, and thinking of them like snooker balls. So, how you have red balls, which are small. So, I will link it with your listeners. So, if you think a red ball offer is maybe a one-off class or one class a week, so they just come to, Saturday morning, 10 till 11. That's all they do. We then have coloured balls, which is the next level up. And coloured balls are usually a combination of red balls. So they're in snooker, they have higher value than a red ball. A red ball's only a one. Coloured balls are, I don't know the specifics. So they are maybe your clients who you can't take as many of them because they're bigger offers, but they have more of like a package of stuff. And then a black ball client are like the ones that do everything. They're signed up for literally every class. They turn up at 9 a.m. on a Saturday and you're like literally throwing them out the door at 6 p.m. because they've taken every class imaginable. They're doing, their parent is really, really actively involved, etc. And the ball analogy is all about, it's really linked with actually what we're talking about, because the idea is that people start a lot of the time as red ball clients, and as they build this connection to you and your story and the way in which you specifically can impact them and support their growth and their journey, they then turn into coloured ball clients and then black ball clients. So yeah,
that's amazing. I love
my ball analogy.
Super relevant for us because we have our once a week kids, just like you said, that only come and do one class, and maybe they do lots of other hobbies. Yeah. So they do dance on a Saturday morning, but then they're shooting straight off to swimming lessons, and then they go to gymnastics all afternoon, and then on a Monday they're at brownies, and then on a Tuesday they're having piano lessons. We've all got those students whose the parents just want to give them the variety of different experiences, but they don't actually have a very strong passion in any one of those things. They just enjoy doing a little bit of everything. And it is about how we can convert them through our love and our passion of dance to, well, maybe actually dance could become a bit more. Maybe we've taken that little seedling of one little 45 minutes a week and we've turned it into, but Mummy, I now fancy doing this class and this class. And now perhaps they've got to drop a couple of their other subjects because dance is becoming a bit more of a passion, right up to I do everything I can. Like you say, I'm in the studio, I'm doing competitions, I'm doing exams, I'm having private lessons. I don't have time for any other hobbies. And that has probably been a journey that parent and child have been nurtured along to get to that stage. There's very, very few, I don't know what you think, listeners, but there's very few of your like super keen kids that started like that the minute they walked in the door, unless they come from another school and they've moved into the area and they've already told you that they want to take all the classes. Like, it's normally something that gets nurtured, which takes me all the way back to the beginning of our conversation when we talked about internal marketing and how we encourage those once a week kids to turn into coloured balls and then maybe black balls, which I definitely think might need to be another podcast. I know that you're a busy person, or maybe you'll touch on this at the conference that everyone now needs to come to. Like, what about that for a little, part 2? You've got to come on to part 2. I'm doing some upselling on my own podcast here. Listen.
I love it. Well, I mean, if you weren't going to, I was going to. So it's like you can't invite a sales coach and not expect it to sell for you.
Oh, I love that. Listen, it's just been so wonderful. I think I said to you right at the beginning, I normally have a whole list of questions so that I kind of feel like, I've got something to keep the interview going. But I said to you, like, I feel like I've only written down a couple of things. Let's just see where it goes. And of course, and I knew it would. I absolutely knew it would organically gone into some really wonderful places. And I hope everybody's enjoyed listening to today's podcast. If people wanted to find out a bit more about you, Hannah, where can they find you?
So the best place to find me is either on my Facebook, which is just my name, and you'll see this mug, you'll see my mug. So you'll see the picture, it looks the same. Or on Instagram, and my account's Hannah Walker Consultancy, because there was another Hannah Walker. There's a lot of Hannah Walkers in this world, funnily enough. I think my mum and dad just opened the baby book and went, yeah, that'll do. Like the first name that was on the top, they're like, yeah, that'll do. And then I married a man that had an extremely common surname. So yeah, that's the best way to find me. Is to do that.
Thank you. And I always love to finish my podcast interviews with a couple of quick fire questions at the end, which are just for a bit of fun, but actually they're not quick fire questions. People say, oh my God, Deborah, I need time to think about this. So I don't even know why I call them that, because they're not, but they're the similar questions that I always ask everyone.
No, that's fine.
Is that okay with you? Should we go for it?
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
Really, really easy. Favorite ice cream?
Mint choc chip.
Oh, I think the last person said mint choc chip.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Favorite business book?
Ooh, it's a book called How to Build Your Business in 90 Minutes a Day.
Oh, do we have any idea who that's by? Or we can go and Google it. But
I can find the link. Funnily enough, my husband bought it for me. This is why it's my favorite book. I'm not a big business book reader. I'm a fiction girly through and through. But he bought it for me as a joke, like a bit of like a joke. When I started my business, he was like, oh, this will be like a thing for you. And it takes 90 minutes to read the book. And that's the whole point, is this premise of taking 90 minutes every day to grow your business rather than just business as usual. And I love it. I yet to implement it fully, but it's such an amazing concept. I'll definitely find the author.
Fabulous. We're all going to go out and buy that now. Okay. If you could hang out, this is one of the hard ones.
Oh, right. Okay.
Hang out with somebody for 15 minutes from history that's no longer here. Who would you love to sit on a park bench with?
Probably. Do you know what? I'm going to say the first name that popped into my head, because I'm going to trust my intuition on this one. Probably David Bowie.
Oh, okay.
I grew up in a household where like my parents have very opposing music taste. But Bowie was the neutrality within our house. It was this big kind of thing. But I think he represented expression at its finest, and just standing out. And like in my entire career to this point, I've always gone against the grain. Like I did engineering when I was a girl, I always hung around with boys. I did the judo, not the dance, I imagine he's the sort of person that I would adore to just sit and listen to, not necessarily talk to, but just listen to for like 15 minutes of like, what was it like? Like what gave you that audacity to be able to just go, I don't care. Like, this is what I'm going to do. Because I think all of us need that. And I think, like, especially with what we've been talking about, like the reason why we don't like selling ourselves is because we worry about what everyone else might think. It's not because of us. We're proud of ourselves deep down. You just have to take off all the layers of like conditioning and all of that thought process to be able to talk to somebody who just just was himself. And if you didn't like it, don't care. Yeah.
Love David Bowie. We've not had a David Bowie one before. So you can have him. You can own him.
Cool. That's mine. My park bench. No one else's.
Okay. I have one other park bench to ask you, which is really hard. If you could spend 15 minutes with someone that's still around, who would it be?
Ooh, okay. Who would I want to be? Do you know what? It would probably be, I would happily sign an NDA for this as well. So like I thought, so if I could have a conversation with this woman, would be the author Rebecca Yarros. I don't know. I am a smutty book reader. I love a fantasy romance novel. I would love to be able to sign an NDA and talk to her for 15 minutes and find out what's going to happen in the next 2 Fourth Wing books. That's what I want to do. There you go.
I love that. I love the angle that you went on there,
Just like, do you know what? I want to interrogate you for 15 minutes with no worries to be able to find out what is going to happen in this book.
There's me thinking it's going to be someone that's going to empower you, or there's going to be personal.
Yeah, no.
And you basically, it's like wanting to interview J.K. Rowling or find out what's in the next Harry Potter book before anyone.
Yes, that's essentially it's because I've just finished the latest book and it's on this massive cliffhanger, and I'm just like, I just want to know what's going on.
Oh, I love that. And I've loved the interview today, Hannah. Thank you so much. Thank you for the lovely energy that you've brought and the beautiful insights to marketing and sales. You did actually make it quite sexy. So I'm really going to thank you for that and congratulate you on that. And can't wait to see you in the summer for the Dance Business Conference. And thank you so much for your wisdom and your time. And from my listeners as well, big thank you. Much love. So I wanted to tell you that this episode is kindly sponsored by Sally at Dance Studio Marketing, who is your go-to solution for growing your dance school through the power of social media. So if you're feeling overwhelmed at trying to attract new students, at Dance Studio Marketing, Sally helps dance studio owners just like you to leverage the power of social media and paid ads to bring in a steady stream of students, which of course helps you to achieve more balance in your life. So if you're ready to grow with less stress, visit sallyprendergast.com, or you can connect with Sally at Dance Studio Marketing on your favorite social media platform today. My clients are getting fabulous results using Sally. So let's get those ads going and let's get your school growing.